Hello, everyone. This is Monsef Afker, and thank you so much for joining us in this new call of Your Divine Uniqueness. So, as always, happy to connect with you, whether live or on the replay. And yeah, also very excited that Erica VanEaton is back on the show. Always feel excited when she joins us, and because I really because like every time it's very profound experience that we have with her. I really love her message and her work. Maybe I mentioned that before, like from the first time I had a session with her, I really felt the powerful energies that she embodies and the guidance that she gives through the time you spent with her. And it was for me, very inspiring, very healing. And also like in other sessions I had later, it was like every time it was different than what I expect, but it was like much better, bringing even like new path that I wasn't expecting. And one of them is what I'm sharing right now as my own message and my own gifts. And yeah, so really happy that she's back with us. And for those of you who are new to her, she is quantum alchemist, intuitive, and life coach, channel, and international speaker. And the subject today is how to utilize parallel realities to expand. So yeah, she will be discussing that, talking about free will, and also how dealing with our emotions can really affect the realities we are stepping into, and the different timelines that we are shifting from one to the other, and also how can we create realities that bring higher potentials and expansion for us. So yeah, it's really powerful call. Really excited about it. And also later on the call we'll have a Q&A. So as always, if you are on Zoom, you can raise your hand by pressing reaction, then raise hand. If you are on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. And also you can type your questions on the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And yeah, so that's Erica. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you with us.
Thank you. I love being on your show. Your audience is always just refreshing. It's refreshing energy because everyone here's intentions are really, I think they do a good job of being clear with their intention, clear with their energy, which allows me to channel really deeply. So thank you for having me on. And I love seeing how things have regressed since the first time we met to where we are now. We're both in completely different places, so it's fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it is, and thank you to you. Yeah, so the subject is parallel realities and free will, because also sometimes I would like maybe if you can start talking about free will, because we hear about divine timing, being patient when and how things will unfold. Maybe it can be confusing. Do we have divine free will, or is it more about following a path that is predefined for us?
Love starting with that question. And I think the best way to answer it would be like to kind of take everyone on a journey. So I'm seeing some new names on here. So my journey began with the birth of my oldest son, who was born with Down syndrome 16 years ago. And it was the first time I heard my soul speak. It was a moment in time where everything stood still and I heard my soul say, "You know him," and I heard him say, "I know you too." And then from there on, it was this kind of wild ride, crazy journey together. But one thing that was shown to me was that his soul chose that on purpose. So we have these experiences that are pre-planned along our timelines. And often we think that we have free will choice to choose to experience something or not. And sometimes that is true, but more often than not, the soul pre-plans experiences and put those in your path. And the free will choice comes after the experience and how you decide to move through it. So when my son was born, we didn't know he had Down syndrome until he came out. And at that point in time, when my soul let my humanness go and I started feeling all the human emotions of grief, because I didn't have a foundation for what our life was going to look like. And there were words coursing through my head of that I had heard growing up, of pity towards families with children with differences. And I had a choice point then on how I was going to move through that experience. I could either move through the grief and become victim to the words that were in my head, or I could use all the emotions that I was experiencing, because it's energy, right? Whether you're feeling grief or joy, it's still energy. And you can utilize that energy to propel you down a different path. So path A, that reality A of being victim to a diagnosis, was an option. That was my free will choice. Or I could hop into path B, where I could utilize all the emotions that I experienced of grief, of shame, of whatever, because I didn't understand this other path. I could utilize all that energy and bring it up into my heart space and allow that to drive me into a different direction, which I did, which led me to be talking to thousands of people all the time about energy. And that helped me open my gifts. I wanted to understand the world through his eyes. I wanted to know what mine were missing. So I took that energy and I propelled us in a different direction, which allowed him to express himself in a completely different way. So free will, more often than not, is how we move through an experience. We have free will to be victim to, or we have free will to learn from. We have free will to utilize it from a space of gratitude. And depending on the energy, the vibration of the energy from the free will choice, that kind of determines what path and timeline you hop onto and what path and reality you walk your life out in. So throughout our life, we have these predetermined experiences placed there by our soul ahead of time. And our soul does this because it wants us to experience as much as we can in this lifetime. And it wants to experience the emotions that these are going to elicit, because we want to know the contrast. So the free will choice often comes after, when we're experiencing those emotions, how we decide to move through it. Are we victim to it, or are we grateful and learning from it, which is a huge expansive place. Now, it doesn't always feel like that, because we feel so many different things and painful experiences. The energy of them are really tight, because the molecules of energy in painful experiences is chaotic, and that's what causes the dis-ease that we feel in our bodies and in our minds. But if we can breathe and take a moment to breathe through that, that allows us then to shift our perspective, and that's what's needed to truly experience a free will choice. We have to be able to create some kind of pause that will stop whatever's rolling through our body just for a moment, so that we can shift perspective and choose a different path. And that's the free will. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And also, like, I noticed, like, through my own experience, that whatever we choose, the universe will bring experiences that support that choice. Yes. Whether we choose to be the victim or choose to be, like, to move through the emotion and feel empowered. It's just we were not used to that path, like empowering path, because the other one, it's the one that we know, the one that we are used to. So it feels like easier. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And also, like, talking about when we make a choice and parallel realities. Also, there can be one of the challenges that comes up is the fear of missing out, because we have different choices, and especially in this time, it feels like we are in charge. It's us who are deciding for ourselves. So how can we move through that also, and to make the decision making more maybe more easier.
That's always the question. How do we empower ourselves when we feel things so strongly? Now, we have to remember that even if we move through something with a lot of grace, there are still going to be experiences on this new timeline. And I think this is where people kind of get caught up. So let's say you move through a difficult situation and you find gratitude for it. So that shifts you to a different timeline. But on that new timeline, there's still going to be some difficult experiences on that timeline. Now, what often happens and what trips people up is that they'll experience this thing that can still be a little hard. It can still be a little painful. Part of their reality, part of their awareness starts to go down the line of, I thought I already cleared this. I thought I must be doing something wrong, or this must not be working for me. And that will shift them back into the other timeline. So we're going to have experiences all the time. So if we can just relax our minds around and our egos and our bodies, if we can relax ourselves around that idea that there's always going to be experiences, no matter how enlightened we are, there's still going to be experiences that are tough, that we're moving through, but every experience is an opportunity. So if we can begin to look at every experience as being an opportunity to expand, that is one way that we have pause. Because if I can keep that in my mind, no matter what kind of difficult situation comes up, this is an opportunity. No matter what emotions I feel, I know that I can use those emotions to propel me in a different direction, to propel me in a place of expansion. I just have to know how to move through the emotion. And so it always comes back to the breath. What is the one underlying factor across every healing modality, across every meditation and yogi, whatever? It's coming back to the breath, right? Why is it coming back to the breath? The breath gives us pause in the chemicals that are being released to the body. When we take a deep breath, energy goes where attention goes. So if I am taking a deep breath down into my belly, or even if I can only get it into my chest, if I'm just becoming aware of that breath, then my attention is going inward instead of outward. That is detaching me from the experience and bringing me back into a place of empowerment. So if I'm taking a deep breath intentionally, I'm giving my system pause and I'm detaching from the external experience that I had, and I'm stopping the rotating chemical production. Because every time we go through an experience and we have emotions and we have thoughts, we have opinions about them, all of that releases thousands of chemicals to the body. So it releases thousands of chemicals to the body, and then that comes back up to the heart. The heart sends the same signal to the brain. You start having more thoughts that are a vibrational match to the chemicals that have been released in the body, and it just becomes this rotating thing. And that's why the energy gets so tight and you feel so captured by it, victim to it. So if I can give myself pause by taking a deep breath, if I can just remember that one thing and be like, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity. Maybe it doesn't feel like it. Maybe I want to kick and scream right now, but I know that this is an opportunity. So I'm going to breathe. I'm going to bring all that energy back into me, detaching me from this other experience. And I can utilize all that energy now, and I can bring it up to my heart space, which will naturally neutralize itself if I'm focusing just on me, because that means I'm trusting myself, right? If I drop my shoulders, raise my chin, open my chest, that physiological response is saying that I trust who I am. I am trusting myself. If I do that, that puts me back into a place of empowerment. That allows me now to utilize all this energy to propel me in a different direction. So not getting caught up in the idea that we're not going to have difficult experiences, because we're here on Earth and this is what we chose. And Earth is kind of a crazy ride. So We're going to have the experiences, but every experience that we have is an opportunity to propel ourselves into a place of expansion if we allow it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really powerful when like the breathing, it can really help us to pause, because many times we when something intense happens, we rush into reacting or taking a decision. But that kind of reaction, it just makes things more challenging. And yeah, also like because you mentioned we are experiencing from time to time some challenges, and when we decide to move through those emotions, like you mentioned, and we drop the walls that we build to protect our hearts, at some point we start knowing that our hearts cannot be broken. It's the more we open it, the more it gets more expanded and stronger. So it's maybe that fear of a challenge or an intense experience decreases the more we open our hearts, and because it feels like a risk, but yeah, it's worth it.
I agree with that. I really like how you said that. That pause that we have with the breath, that really does heal the heart. And what it does is open communication between the heart and the mind in a coherent way. So we're looking to build coherence internally so that we can experience coherence and harmony externally. And everyone is different in the experiences that we have, because our souls all chose different paths. So taking that breath coming inward detaches you from comparing, detaches you from the experience itself, literally brings all the energy back home. And it really gives you the opportunity to think about it as play. So if there's a difficult situation that comes up now, and this is something that I had to work really hard at, but if there's a difficult situation or a painful experience that comes up now, I can take a deep breath and I can look at it. Okay, how do I want to play with this? This is play because I'm a student here on Earth, learning how to play, and Earth is the ultimate teacher. So how do I want to play in this experience? Maybe for a while, I do want to play victim. Is that bad? No. Is it wrong? No. Maybe I really do want to feel all the darkness. There's something to be learned from that too. But at any point in time, I can choose to play differently. But I can't do that if I can't take a breath and pause my body and pause the chemical production. So there are certain words that will trigger you to feel something different. Play is one of them. Play is ingrained in us from a child. That play is joy. So if I can say the word play, and maybe I don't feel anything at all, but just saying the word play will elicit a different kind of chemical production in the body. Gratitude is a difficult one because it's been pushed to us to use so often that we almost have if someone tells me to be grateful one more time, I'm going to lose my shit, right? Like there's like this, we have to use words that we can relax around. And maybe we can relax around play because that's not a word that has been pushed in our faces as much. And it is something that is so talked about from the time we're little. Even if we're not gifted that many opportunities to play, it's a word that is largely untainted. So it's something that our bodies and our minds can relax around.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree about that. There are some words that are overused and they can be very triggering, especially when we are in the midst of some kind of challenge. And also talking about parallel realities and manifesting the desires that we want. Because also many times we get attached to the image that we create about that desire, and but then what shows up can be different, or maybe it can be just something that will lead us to what we will be receiving. But then when something shows up, we get maybe attached to it more than the essence of the desire that we want to experience. So like from your perspective, because like focusing on the essence, it's something maybe more subtle and we are not used to that. How can we get familiar with that aspect?
Because we're trying to elicit a feeling without having an experience, and we do not know how to do that. The essence, we want to have these experiences. It breaks down to people have attached manifestation to actual like physical things, but that's not really what we're after. We're after a sense of safety. We're after a feeling. We're after an emotion that we want to really embody and experience. We want the feel of it. So one way to play with parallel realities and doing this, and that's what we did in the meditation series that's in the program, is we go back to the point in time when we thought we couldn't have it. So let's say you're in the womb and you download lack from a parent. Now, lack is just a frequency, right? And when you're in the womb, the heart is the first thing to develop. So this frequency is coming in from your mom into your little baby body, and it's hitting your heart. And because the heart's the first thing to develop, the cardiac nerve plexus right at the top of your heart starts sending that frequency of lack up to your brain. And your brain starts developing neural pathways that are vibrational match to lack. So these start coming in, and you grow up with the idea that you're in a place of lack, or that you're lacking something, or lack is ingrained in your subconscious. So if we can go back to that point in time and we can play being in the womb again and realizing that we had a choice point. When we're young, we don't think we have choice points because we just feel what we feel and we don't know how to digest that information. So actually, that point in time when you're in the womb, that's a packet of information that's still in the energy field, locked in that time, locked in that experience of being in the womb. So we can go back to that womb space, back to that packet of information, and we can open it up and we can let our infant self know that it did have a choice, that information that was coming into it was never for it in the first place, that was outside information coming in, and it had a choice to disregard and release that information back out to the field. It didn't have to digest that. It didn't have to create patterns from that. So if we go back to that packet, that infant self, and we open them up and allow them to see a different choice point, a different reality in which they didn't choose that, they chose something else, then we begin to play with, well, what did my life look like? What does that reality look like? How did I grow up in that reality? And that reality does exist. It's there. It's available to play in. And so you start to be able to feel what it feels like to wake up every morning and feel abundant. You begin to feel what it feels like to wake up and feel worthy of receiving, to feel worthy of being, to feel worthy of receiving love, having love, being love. Whatever it is, you start to walk yourself down that timeline and you start to look, okay, how did I interact with family? How did I interact with friends? How did teachers interact with me differently? And then as the more you play with that, the more real it becomes, because you can start to feel the things you need to feel to create that experience in the here and now. Without being able to feel, you can't really create, because you need the chemical production to put you in the right vibrational state to create this new thing. So if we play with parallel realities, and in this other reality, you can call it being delusional or whatever, but there really is a reality in which part of your consciousness decided to play in zone B instead of zone A because it could and it wanted to. So we tune into that aspect of us that is playing without that belief structure, and we see how they grew up. We see how their life is different and more expansive. And then we begin to feel those feels now because you really can. It helps you feel that. And then you start to make that feeling bigger than the feeling of not. And that's where we get tripped up, is that pain is really loud. Lack is really loud. So how do we make this other reality louder in our minds and in our bodies than this other thing? It's repetition. I'm going to continue to play with daydreaming that this was my childhood. I'm going to continue to play with the beliefs in this other reality and see how they play out. And I'm going to put a smile on my face, and I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to let myself just play in that reality. Whether someone thinks I'm just daydreaming or not, doesn't matter. It's frequency. It's 1000% frequency. And, the best example I have with that is the one with my oldest son when he was born and he started coming to me in my dream state. He was having a difficult time crawling and walking and really connecting into his body. We were doing therapies 3 times a week, and it just was still a slow and hard process. So he started coming to me in my dream state and having me feel. He would show himself doing the thing perfectly, and he would be so happy and smiley. I would start feeling that way. I would wake up the next morning and I would still feel those excited feelings of gratitude and joy, and that memory would still be with me. And then it would be a few weeks later that he could do that thing because we created that experience and it became more real than the one where he couldn't. So we have to create these alternate realities. They're already there. They've already been created because of choice points. They've already been there. They're already there. It's just learning how to tune into them and to play with them to make them louder and bigger than the one that's not serving you in an expansive way.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love that, how you described how we can play with them, because it doesn't feel like we are forcing it. It's like we are going slowly at our own pace, asking questions and trying to it's like we have that wonder, like just wondering how does it feel and how it can be experienced, and yeah, I feel it can really help us when we go without forcing things. We go through that slowly. It can really help us to bring that frequency, and
that's a really good point. Yeah. It takes away the forcing. When we're trying to manifest and we're trying to build this image, it's a lot of forcing. But when we play with the parallel reality, it's a natural, like you just let go because you're just playing and daydreaming about whatever. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah. And also, like you mentioned that you are using the word play. It's it makes this subject easier to approach. And also, like in the case where we start noticing maybe an old timeline maybe fading away, but still things are happening that can be triggering, and at the same time feeling a new timeline that is being created and the new momentum is being created. So it's like we are in between both. Sometimes we feel like reacting to the old one, we want to change it, and then we feel like going away from the new timeline. So how can we find maybe balance during that shift?
Really, they begin to overlap because you start to raise the vibration of timeline A when you move through those choice points with grace and play and seeing them as an opportunity to expand. So if I'm walking along, reality A, and I hit an experience that's difficult, and I remember to pause, and I remember to breathe, and I remember this is an opportunity. This is happening for me. This isn't happening to me. This is happening for me. This is an opportunity to play. I start to build that energy. I'm like, okay, that shifts me into a parallel reality where more of my energy is focused. And so really it begins to lift frequency wise, because remember, these are just frequency packets in the energy field. It starts to balance them out because your overriding frequency is different. Your chemical production is different. And so it isn't like if you shift from reality A to reality B, that you're losing your kids or your loved ones, or like they just disappear. You're just knowing them from a different vibrational level. Maybe you're in the same job, but you're knowing it from a different vibrational level, one that isn't sucking the life out of you, into maybe one of like gratitude that for the people that you're working with or whatever it is. So it isn't like it's shifting your whole world when you play between these different timelines. It's more like a bringing up and emerging of the frequencies of them both. Because in this timeline, in this time here on Earth, ultimately what we're wanting to experience is unity consciousness. That's what we all came here to play with. Now, everyone's on a different path to that. But unity consciousness starts within. And so there was a long period of time when everyone was talking about soul fragments, bringing in healing soul fragments. And what is that? That's all these pieces of you that have split off and are walking these other lives, or trapped as an inner child, or trapped as an angry teenager. We're wanting to open up all those packets and invite them home. So there has to be a foundation within ourselves that can support that can vibrationally support all that we are. So the more that we pause and the more that we come home, it allows for an opening of all these different soul fragments to begin to merge together. And then we experience the uniqueness and the brilliance that we all are. And that's when people start to start their own podcasts like you did, Monsef, and get interviewed. And that's when people start to share. They start to write a book, or they just start to communicate differently with more authority in their lives. Because they're coming home and they're bringing all these different pieces of themselves home without judging them or rejecting them, just understanding that these were all the different choice points that I had. And I can choose to move all these different choice points with grace, with gratitude, and bring it all home so that I can experience internal unity, which will shift my external reality.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like when we approach it this way, we can start feeling that reaction that we had before, those emotions. It's like there's some kind of surrender, and it just becomes easier to move through those emotions. So yeah, thank you for that. And Vivian shared, I like your approach to play. However, I remember being criticized for playing with food as a child or with money as a wife. So how do I neutralize these impressions and replace play with a smile?
Maybe there's a different word that's not so triggering. Maybe it's fun. Or maybe it's opportunity. Now, a lot of people feel like opportunities have been stripped from them. So it really, play around with the different words. Joy. Whatever, okay, how can I utilize this to bring me more joy? Everything is an opportunity to elevate your internal reality. And by what we mean by elevating your internal reality is by the chemical shift that you have. Again, it all has to come back to the physiology of the body, because if you can't physically hold something, then your reality can't hold. You might be able to hold reality be for a split second, but then you're going to fall back down if you don't continually change your chemical production. Now, remember, we're going to feel all emotions, but it's what do you hold the longest, and that becomes the strongest for you. So find a word that does work for you, and then you can begin to unravel the words that are triggering. For a long time, I think about a year, in most of the classes that I taught, we spent time unraveling programs from words. And to do that, you have to invite your mind and your ego back into your heart space to be able to see that this word, the frequency of the word itself, is mismatched with the emotions and the programs tied to it. So if you can just think of the word and a box. Blast that word with light. Again, we're playing here, or we're finding joy, we're experimenting. Blast that word with light to help your mind see everything uncoil from that word. What has happened with the human language, with every language on earth, is that they have all been embedded with programming, with intentions that weren't always the highest from outside sources, to dilute the light that we hold within the words that we speak. So to bring that back into a place of empowerment, no matter what word it is, hold the word in a bubble of light, in a box, whatever, and then imagine blasting it with light so that it can come back into its original form. And then say the word again and see how it feels in your body.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, Vivian shares, yes, I like joy. I play with the word joy and light.
Go ahead.
Good. And Elizabeth, I'm wondering about engaging my light team so that I can change my chemical production during sleep to help me vibrate at the frequency and with the chemicals to feel abundance instead of lack.
Fun. Yes. Okay. Why don't we just practice that right now? Can we do that? Because this is good for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So everyone close your eyes. We close our eyes when we sleep. When we close our eyes, we're shutting off that light through our optic nerve, and it turns on the melatonin, which gives us a start in a different chemical production. Taking a deep breath, relaxing the shoulders down, relaxing the chin up, opening up the throat. Again, another physiological response that we're safe. Asking for the highest and best team of light to come forward for each of us. And holding for the intention that while I sleep, when I am in meditation, throughout my moments of quiet time, I want help processing chemicals of light that might be slightly uncomfortable because of the vibration that they hold. So we're going to continue to breathe deep, because as we release dopamine, serotonin, we aren't necessarily used to holding these kinds of chemicals in our body for very long periods of time. We digest them very quickly, and then we usually come back to a place of neutrality. So our nervous system can get a little amped up. You can get a little nervous when you start to feel joy for too long, when you start to feel like playing for too long. But if I can breathe deep, then I'm reminding my body that it's safe to feel good. That it's safe to feel light in my body. And so it's about connecting an intention with action. And we don't think about action when we're getting ready to go to sleep, but the action that we take is, okay, I'm going to calm my nervous system before I really try to doze off. I'm going to set my intention with words that I want to feel. Before I go to sleep, I'm going to ask for help producing this. And now, if it's a specific thing that you want to experience this with, let's say if it's a relationship, if it's money, if it's with a child, if it's with your highest self, if it's with the earth. We want you to be specific in saying, in relationship to this. So, in relationship with the earth, or in relationship with my partner, my child, my cat, in relationship to money, I want to feel, I want to dream about, I want to experience joy in my sleep. And then you take a breath and you keep your body calm. And that's the action. The action is to keep your body calm. And then you can let yourself go. Not trying to control what that looks like, not trying to control how that feels. And it can really be that quick and simple. And when you do that, you can feel your heart open naturally without forcing it. Because if I'm in a really calm state, then the magnetic field of my heart is going to snap into place. You have a north pole and a south pole to your magnetic field. The north pole is about 18 inches above your head, and the south pole is about same underneath your feet. And you want your energy running up through you to your north pole, and then down all around you to your south pole, and then back up through you, back up through your heart, back up to your north pole. You want that energy to run continually, and then from your heart, energy goes down to your south pole, up all around you to your north pole, and then back into your heart. That is your magnetic pull with the energy field. That's the magnetic pull with the earth. So when we're wanting to manifest a different reality, we literally are creating a magnetic pull. And the only way we can do that is by being in a calm place to create this magnetism within us, and then embedding into our magnetic field what we want to feel. So we do that with playing with different realities, with intention, with words, whatever it works for you, because everyone is different, to get you to feel before you go to sleep what you want to feel, embedding that into your system and saying, this is what I want to play with. This is the intention that I'm setting. A lot of times we aren't very clear or aren't super clear with the intention of what we want to experience. We can kind of leave it general. And if we do that, then we're going to get a general kind of response. So my thing is, I love laughing in dreams. Those are my favorite dreams that I've ever had, is when I wake up laughing. And so I want to think about something funny before I go to sleep. That's going to make me kind of laugh. And I say, okay, now I want this laughter to go alongside this issue that I know I need to elevate into a different reality. Okay, so I want to combine those two things, whatever I'm wanting to heal, whatever I'm wanting to shift, with this kind of energy, with laughter, with play, with joy. So that's your intention, and that's the action to create a quantum leap in your dream state for a different manifestation the next day. Okay, how does that feel, Elizabeth?
That's great. Thank you so much.
You're
love
welcome. Thanks for playing. Good.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing it with everyone. It really feels powerful, and also there is some light energy in it. It's we can flow through that experience with ease, and allow ourselves to play with that. So thank you. Priya, she shared a heart. Linda, that was great. Beautiful to do before going to sleep peacefully. Thank you. That was Vivian.
Good.
And we will continue with the questions after a couple of minutes. So just a reminder, everyone, you can raise your hand by pressing reactions, then raise hand, or that's on Zoom. And on the phone, you can press *9, and also you can type your questions on the chat boxes. And before that, I would love if Erika, if you can tell us about the program, the series. There are one new reality 3-week meditation series, and also a recorded one. The previous one you did parallel reality meditation series, and then 20 minutes one-on-one private session with you. And I invite everyone to visit the page yourdivineuniqueness.com/Erika, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Erika, ERICA. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page. The link also on YouTube video description and the chat boxes on Zoom and YouTube. So Erika, I would love if you can tell us about these programs.
It's all about building new habits and about building a new chemical production. So the Parallel Realities series that we already recorded, that you get with package B, it's all about parallel reality play. We kind of played with it a little bit today, but every meditation that I lead is channeled from a council. And so every meditation is slightly different, and it's guided. They each build on each other, energetically speaking. From day 1 to day 9 is completely different, because as you build a new chemical production in the body, as you begin to play and practice these techniques, some of the lines of your energy field need to shift and change. So there's a lot of that's happening in the background of the meditations, and they're each about 30 minutes long. Those are some of that I say out loud during the meditation, but a lot of that's happening in the background, because what they're wanting to do is to expand your mind. Our minds really like concrete information. Our minds enjoy boxes so that it can understand things. And so what the council that I've been channeling recently has really been asking for us to do is to work on stretching the mind and what's comfortable for it. So we play with being here in the body while bilocating and being on the moon at the same time. When we stretch our mind's comfortableness, then it allows us to play with parallel realities without as much resistance, and being able to be in both worlds at the same time. So parallel reality play meditations is all about stretching and playing in these different kind of realities. Now, I can't be 100% honest of what is going to happen in the meditation series that's starting in January, because I channel them, and they don't always tell me what's coming up ahead of time. Actually, I never know until I start talking, because it's really determining on where you are in that moment and where the energy of the earth is at that time. And things are shifting pretty quick right now. But what I know for certain is what they're wanting us to do is to work on building new realities so that we can, in our lifetime, understand unity consciousness. So we're being stretched chemically to produce something different. We're being stretched mentally to be able to handle different kinds of experiences that we haven't yet experienced up to this point in time, so that we can build a different reality as a collective. So it's a personal journey, but it's also part of a collective consciousness that we're wanting to shift and change and build in the energy field that connects all things. So we're working on building a new reality for ourselves and creating an internal harmonic expression of self internally. At the same time, we're working externally, kind of. Nothing's external, but you know what I mean? we were working with a collective at the same time to build this bridge. So I actually didn't know that part until right now when I channeled it. So I guess we're building this. This is what I mean. Like, I don't know what's coming up. So that other piece is a really huge piece because we have the availability with how the sun is coming in a little bit stronger to play in an alternate reality as a collective. And we want to be able to understand that and play with that in a way that releases resistance from the mind. And it'll be really difficult to build that bridge and to live in these multiple realities, to bring a new wave of ascension to Earth, if our mind can't stretch and accept space. I've been working on your brains right now, and so you might just feel into your head, do you feel a little bit of space? Can you feel space between you and the screen you're watching me on, or the device you're listening to? Can you feel that space? In that space is infinite realities. It's infinite possibilities. So if we can create calm, nervous system in relationship to understanding space, then we can tune into infinite realities and possibilities. So all the meditation series that I lead is leading us towards that path of being able to move into infinite possibilities and realities faster than we've been doing it. It's taken a lot of energy up to this point to be able to create a different kind of reality for ourselves. And that time is shrinking. Everyone notices that time is moving much faster than it ever has. So we have to be able to shift internally faster than we've ever shifted before. So our mind needs to get comfortable with space so that we can float between these different realities, possibilities, and ideas of what's possible. And then the one-on-one session, you never know what's going to happen. We work on ancestral healing, past life, future timelines, might be light language. It's totally up to your soul and what you intend for it to be or to connect in with. But it's always healing and it's empowering. My job as a healer is to empower you to do the same, is to empower you to understand that you can heal just as well as I can. It's just going to be in your own way. And so as I'm working you through a healing process, whatever it is, I'm speaking out loud what we're doing while we're doing it so that you can understand and feel empowered to do the same.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Erica. And yeah, the meditations really feel, there's a feeling of play and fun in them, and which I believe really can help us to shift the energy or the frequency that we want to create. Like maybe it can be faster, or it can be in a fun way, and also like having this consistent meditations, it deepens the experience even more, and helps to anchor the energy much deeper. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for the one-on-one session. Yeah, like you said, we don't know what will happen, but it's really worth it. It's I mean, it was always for me. It brought understanding, healing, and exactly what I needed at that time. So yeah, thank you again, and everyone. I invite you to sign up for one of these two packages, and the link again is yourdivineuniqueness.com/Erica, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Erica, ERICA. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page. The link also on YouTube video description and the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And let's see. Elizabeth, I hear new things every time I re-listen to the meditations, and the one-on-one session is pure gold.
Thank you. I hear new things too because I don't remember what I channeled. So,
Yeah. Um, Erica, can you please unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hello.
Um, Erica, can you tune in? Hi, Erica. Is my body, do I have like parasites? And how can I stand in my power so I'm not letting something like that live off of me?
mm. Well, first take a deep breath and let's re-script what a parasite is because not all parasites are bad or wrong. They've helped us become more self aware. So we can see them as a healing modality of self awareness. So if you take a breath and you come back home to self, then that naturally begins to release parasitic activity. I'm working on some in your lower intestinal tract right now. And then in your environment, there's two people that feed off your energy. And so we look at it again as an opportunity to play. I'm not victim to these parasites. What do I want to learn from this experience? How do I want to play? What kind of opportunities do these present to me? So if I can breathe and I begin to build that kind of energy in your belly, and so I'm going to start to bring all of your energy back home of how do I want to play with this learning? I get to expand into more of who I am. And I wouldn't even know what I was missing if someone wasn't feeding off of it and I wasn't feeling depleted. So that's kind of cool. Okay, I can come back home to center. I can breathe. I can start to bring, there's like a bubble in your stomach. We're going to start to bring that energy up slowly into your heart. Relax your shoulders down a little bit more. They're a little tense in the back. So just breathe in, relax your shoulders down. And then you can say, okay, I don't need parasites to reflect back to me self-sacrifice anymore. And that's really why they came in, was because you have a pretty strong belief of self-sacrifice that stems from a lot of lifetimes back. So we can pull all of those lifetimes. We can actually do this for everyone on the call because this is a pretty common big one. So we call forward all the different lifetimes in which you sacrificed your free will to feed a system that was outside of yourselves. So just imagine all these different lifetimes coming forward. And instead of feeling victim to them, we see them as opportunities to play, to come home, to experience internal unity consciousness, to embody all these different soul fragments. And so we're just going to open up all that information for everyone on the call. We're just going to imagine all these different lifetimes opening like you're cutting a watermelon open and it just falls open and all that beautiful fruit is in the middle. And we're just going to open it up and we're going to take a deep breath, calm nervous system. I don't need to accommodate anybody to feel seen, to be validated. I don't need to shift who I am. I don't need to bend over backwards. I don't need to shrink. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to continue to breathe deep. And I'm going to invite all of my energy back home. And I'm going to command for all parasites to be released from me with gratitude for the subconscious programming that they showed me. And we're going to send them all back to their own highest self. And take another breath. Keep your shoulders down. Keep your chin up. And then we're going to pull all that energy back home into your heart space. And as you feel, and if you can't feel, it's okay, you pretend Like you have this huge bubble of energy coming back home to self. And now that you have all this energy back home, how do you want to play with it? How do you want to move it forward? How do you want to express yourself differently? What do you want to experience differently? What if there was a timeline in which you never let that happen from birth? If you had never allowed a parasite to come into your life, how would you be expressing yourself if you had all this energy? How did you express yourself as a child? How did you play differently? How did you tune out the people that didn't believe in you? You were able to let whatever words were coming at you just float on by. They couldn't touch you because you were so full of yourself. And how often do we use being full of ourselves in a negative way? I can't stand him. He's so full of himself. I can't stand her. She's so full of herself. So we're going to uncreate, clear all of the negativity around being full of yourself, being in love with yourself, consuming yourself. Okay, and now how does that feel?
It feels lighter.
You have a lot of subconscious programs that are, some are unraveling now and more are needing to unravel, locked into, it's the left side of your brain towards the middle.
I feel it.
So you're just going to have to keep breathing and keep utilizing whatever words feel best for you as, okay, this is an opportunity for me to play. This is an opportunity for me to have fun, to experience joy, to propel myself or to catapult myself in a new direction of expansion. Thank you.
Did you say there were 2 people that were parasites in my life?
Yeah, I took them off. Hope that's okay.
Yes, absolutely. And how do I want to keep them off. And so it's keep playing in this.
Yep, you got to keep playing because it's habit, right? You've been doing it for eons of time, actually. So when you start to feel, it's that what's in your brain is a little bit of victim. It's like I'm victim to this. So when we've all felt that. When that starts to creep in, when you start to like blame something, then that's when you start to blame something, when that starts to come into your head, take a breath, be like, oh, this is opportunity to play. That's not real. That's just how I've been wording it, but it's not real. So that's my cue to breathe and bring my energy home through just being aware of your breath is the easiest way. And remember, we're always really concerned with pulling energy off. But if we come home to our breath, naturally that's going to continue to happen because we're literally pulling the particles of energy you are back home to self. And if you're pulling that back home to self, it's going to naturally start to unmesh you, detach you from the people and the experiences in your environment that you've been attached to. Does that make sense?
It does. Can you tell me if one of the people was my husband?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, it's just play.
Okay.
And of course that would happen considering the past lives that you've had where you were powerless. So it's not, so in those instances, when we look at that, there wasn't any other reality that could have occurred with that running so strongly in you. For example, when my oldest son started school, my greatest fear was that his teacher wouldn't know his brilliance in the way that I knew it. And because that was so strong, I pulled that reality into our lives. There wasn't another possibility for us. And that period of our life was absolutely awful. Like, it was awful. And, but it wasn't her fault. It wasn't the teacher's fault that she didn't understand or that she couldn't communicate with him or didn't understand or couldn't see him. It was mine because I was a vibrational match to that. And because it was so strong within me, I couldn't create a different reality for ourselves. And it wasn't until I came home to my breath that I could, until things began to shift. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Erika. Much love, and also thank you, Erika, for the guidance. Let's see, Linda, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes. Hi, Erica.
Hi.
This has
Hi.
been delightful. Thank you, Mansef, for choosing me as well.
Yeah, of course.
My question has to do with my communication with my higher self as well as with the guides and angels. I don't seem to be able to hear them the way I'd like to. Can you see if there's some kind of a blockage there?
Well, the way that you would like to and the way that you do are two different things.
Okay. I like that. That's cute.
So there's not a blockage. It's about the other, you're really wanting more clairvoyance and to hear them a little bit more clearly.
Yes.
Hmm. But you feel.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So it's about honoring that you feel and recognizing that that's your greatest strength. And that actually is the biggest gift you could be given. Because if you can feel, then you can change what it is that you're asking, right? If you're asking for guidance on something, you'll be able to feel a more clear yes or no and have the chemicals to back that up physiologically. So if we begin, that was my greatest one when I first started too. And I used to be like, oh, I just want to be able to see like other people can see and all these things.
Yeah.
Right. And so I like, okay, if I just honor first that I can feel and be like, wow, there's people out there that can't feel anything. And that would be really, really hard. So if I surrender to feeling, then I allow
Okay.
my feeling to be the strongest, and your clairvoyance and your clairaudience will build off of your clairsentience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because how you feel when you ask certain things, that doesn't lie. Your mind can, clairvoyance is a tricky one to start out with because your mind has to decipher the frequencies of the images. And a lot of those, come pretty quickly, but then your mind starts to talk. So if we can begin to trust ourselves first with how we feel, then what we see and how those images come can be trusted more fully, is what your team really wants you to know. So
Thank you very much. Because when I'm working on someone, I can feel where they're off. But I used to be able to actually look into the body and see things, and it's kind of gone now.
mhm. They wanted you to work on the other thing.
Okay. Okay.
And the other will wake back up, but it's different because you're embodying the healing, not just giving the healing. And
Oh,
what we mean by that is that you're integrating the energy into you and you're sharing it from an integrated space, which is easier to digest by the body rather than just seeing what needs to be fixed and then directing healing to that specific thing.
yes.
It's a deeper integration, and it doesn't mean that you're taking on the other person's energy at all.
No, I don't.
Yeah, it actually helps you stay more clean and share it on a deeper level.
Okay. Thank you. That was wonderful.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thanks for
thank
that
you, thank you.
question. You're welcome.
Thank you, Linda. And yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Erica. Let's see. Tina, can you please unmute yourself?
Hello, Erica.
Hello.
Hello, Monica. Thank you for choosing me. Um, just wondering if there's something that I keep pulling mold into my space, because I lived in a home that had mold, and then I go, and now I'm helping a gentleman. Now his home has mold, and we've had extreme mold. And then I just went to my storage unit recently, and it's leaking and has mold. Is there something that I'm bringing? Like, I want mold out of my space. Is that something you can help me with, or no?
It would probably take a longer session, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay. Okay.
But I can take a quick peek here. So a lot of it has to do with how you digest energy and letting it sit there a little bit too long without moving it.
Hmm.
Um,
Even myself.
yeah, specifically in your kidneys,
Okay.
more in your right kidney than your left.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's your focus is to process energy more fully, process the emotions, process the thoughts by moving all the way through them with those choice points that, like we talked about earlier, with your breath, because there's retention, you're holding on to it for some reason, especially on your right side.
Grief, probably grief, a lot of grief, because I lost my partner and my dad, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been 3 years, but I don't think I think I let it out, but I don't let it all out. I guess like you said, I'm holding on still.
Yeah, grief is a hard one, and grief never, I don't know that grief ever fully leaves.
I don't
It
think so.
just, it's just how we use it as an opportunity to grow and to expand. So, and it moves into different frequencies, grief does. You know, every emotion that we have, yes, there's an underlying frequency of it, but it can be elevated into a beautiful form of grief, into a beautiful form of anger that allows us to express more fully. So you're needing to process through that a little bit more fully and just letting yourself breathe through it and feel it while keeping your nervous system calm so that you can actually move it out of your system.
Yeah, and I think like you say, this is a lot deeper. It'd be a long session probably. So yeah.
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 Well, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Gina, and thank you, Erica. Do you have time for more questions?
We can do one more, and then I have to
Okay.
go pick up a kid.
Okay. So, Sue, can you please unmute yourself?
The 610 number? Or which one?
Yes.
Which?
358. Yes.
Hi, my name is Sue. Hi, Erica. Thank you, Modisette. This is really a very great healing day for me. Thank you both. Okay, my question is, I'm actually envisioning this lately where I'm in a corridor. It's like dimly lit, but there's like two doors, but both are locked. I feel like I'm caught in between two parallel universes or realities, and I can't really step into either one fully. And this is now becoming in a dream where I'm like trapped. I've thought about it today again, and I'm wondering what you pick up or what you channel about that.
The illusion of being trapped can be really strong. So it appears that there hasn't been an actual choice made on which direction you would rather go. There's a fear of actually letting the old reality go. And I know that seems like that wouldn't be, why would I fear something that isn't expansive? But it's the conditioned comfortability that we have with it. So you're needing to move through the conditioned comfortability so that you can open the door on the other side and hold that. So allow yourself to, like the previous caller, you can grieve the life that you had, even though it wasn't, not all of the things were super fun. It's still a life-death cycle that we go through. So allow yourself to grieve that life, to grieve some of the experiences that you had in it. And then you'll be able to move into the parallel reality with play. And I know grief and play don't seem like they could be in the same sentence, but they really can, because we can pull our energy back up into the clouds. And if we do that and we look down on this life, we can see that we're like this chess piece that is moving around, and it's being moved around by the emotions that we're experiencing and the things we're allowing ourselves to express or not express. So I can see that there's things in your life that you haven't necessarily wanted to let go of, even though it's pain, because of the conditioned response that you have towards it. There's multiple things. So you need to make a list of things that you think are comfortable but not expansive, and you're going to have to decide, this just isn't a vibrational match to who I want to be any longer. And then you play in a reality to get more comfortable with that, in which that experience doesn't exist or didn't exist. And how did you play differently? And that will relax your nervous system to accept a different reality. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yes.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's, yeah. And so I could kind of just write it down or whatever, and then just go through the process.
And that's what the meditations would guide you through. So they would walk you through rewriting all of that.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
And the meditations are 3 times a week. Well, they're lined up to be 3 times a week. And the reason why is because you need time to process and to play with the ideas that are given in the meditation, so they become habit and habitual to build the new chemical structure on your own. Because it doesn't do any good if we go into meditation and we have this crazy, beautiful experience, but then we come right back out of it and we go back into our old ways of being. So it's set up in a way that, it courses through 21 days to gift you time to build a new habit, to build a new reality, to build a new way of being.
That makes sense. Thank you very much for all that info. It really helped me a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
And blessings to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monisset, and blessings to you all. Lots of love.
Yeah, to you as well. Thank you. And thank you very much, Erika, for the support. And also thank you for everything you shared with us today. Really loved the call. It was very, very inspiring. Thank you for the support you offer to our audience, and also for the meditations and the one-on-one session.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for letting me play. And I love the questions that were asked, because they were beneficial for everyone always. And I just want to thank everyone for trusting this, to spend this time with us and to play with us, to elevate. So thank you.
Thank you again. And also everyone, thank you very much for co-creating with us this experience today. Thank you for the questions, the comments. Annette, yours beautiful. Thank you. Sylvia, thank you so much for this call. Erika and everyone. Priya, thank you. Also, Iratsky, maybe, and Elizabeth. So thank you, everyone. And yeah, so a reminder that you can sign up for one of the 2 packages that Erika is offering to us on the link yourdivineuniqueness.com/Erika, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Erika, ERICA, or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page. The link also on YouTube video description and the chat boxes on Zoom and YouTube. And yeah, so that's everyone. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you on the next call. Bye for now.